They told us space was silent, empty, lifeless. But what if that was a lie? What if right now, an ancient traveler from beyond the stars was not only passing through our solar system, but was alive? Because just weeks ago, the James Webb Space Telescope, the most advanced eye humanity has ever turned toward the cosmos, detected something impossible inside 3I Atlas, a mysterious interstellar object streaking toward us. At first, it looked like just another comet, a chunk of rock and ice. But Webb's instruments began picking up signals, pulses, something moving inside, something alive. This is not science fiction. This is happening right now. And if it's true, it could change everything we thought we knew about life in the universe. But before we uncover what Webb really saw, we need to step back to understand what 3I Atlas is, where it came from, and why astronomers are terrified by its trajectory. You see, 3I Atlas isn't from around here. It's what scientists call an interstellar object, meaning it didn't form in our solar system at all. It came from the deep, dark void between the stars. Only 3 such objects have ever been confirmed. Oumuamua in 2017, Borisov in 2019, and now Atlas. Each one more mysterious than the last, but Atlas is different. Unlike Borisov, which looked like a typical comet, or Oumuamua, which behaved so strangely, some thought it might be artificial. Atlas is showing signs of activity no telescope has ever recorded before. James Webb sensors picked up spectral anomalies, light signatures that shouldn't exist inside a frozen ball of rock and gas. Traces of complex molecules, shifts in thermal output, and then movement. Not random, not chaotic, rhythmic, coordinated, like a heartbeat. What's hiding inside this ancient traveler? Could it be microbial life, slumbering in the ice for billions of years? Or something older? Something built? Something watching? We have to ask these questions because history has shown us again and again. Interstellar visitors are never what they seem. When Oumuamua passed through in 2017, its speed and path were so unusual that Harvard astronomer Avi Loeb famously suggested it might be an alien probe. The mainstream scientific community laughed. But the data still doesn't add up. Then Borisov appeared, more like a normal comet, but it too left questions behind. And now Atlas has arrived, bigger, faster, and stranger. And the James Webb Telescope may have just confirmed the unthinkable. Something is inside it. Something alive. But if this thing really is alive, the real question is not how. It's why. Why is it here? Why now? And is it moving toward us by accident or by design? Tonight, we're going to peel back the layers of this cosmic mystery. We'll travel through time, back to the birth of stars, across the history of Earth's forgotten civilizations, and into the future we may not survive. Because what's inside Atlas may not just rewrite the story of life in the universe. It may decide whether we have a future at all. For as long as humans have gazed into the night sky, we've wondered, what's out there? But what we rarely ask is the reverse. What out there is watching us? You see, 3I Atlas is not the first cosmic stranger to pass through our neighborhood. Each time, these interstellar visitors leave behind more questions than answers. And the story begins not with Webb, but with a bizarre traveler called Oumuamua. In 2017, astronomers spotted a thin, elongated object speeding through the solar system. It wasn't moving like a comet. It wasn't shaped like an asteroid. In fact, it wasn't like anything anyone had ever seen before. It tumbled end over end, accelerated without a visible tail, and escaped the sun's gravity in a way that defied explanation. The scientific world was stunned. And then Avi Loeb, a Harvard astronomer, broke the silence. Maybe Oumuamua wasn't natural at all. Maybe it was a probe sent by another civilization. The idea was dismissed, ridiculed even. But not because the evidence was weak, because the implications were too terrifying. If we admitted it might be artificial, then we had to admit we weren't alone. 2 years later, another interstellar object arrived. This one, Comet Borisov, looked more like what scientists expected, icy, gassy, a comet through and through. But even Borisov left strange chemical signatures in its trail. Molecules that shouldn't have been there. Molecules connected to the chemistry of life. And now, Atlas, the third visitor. But this one is different. Atlas isn't just passing through, it's growing brighter. Its tail is thicker, heavier, carrying strange particles Webb's instruments have never catalogued before, and deep within its frozen shell, something is moving. At first, scientists thought it was just gas jets, heat cracking ice and spitting vapor. But Webb's thermal data showed a rhythm, heat rising and falling, in precise intervals. One pulse every 37 seconds, like breathing. And then came the most chilling discovery. Webb detected complex carbon chains, molecules so intricate they resembled the building blocks of DNA. Some scientists say they could only have formed in a controlled environment. Others whisper something darker. Maybe they were built. Imagine what that means. If Atlas carries life inside it, then we are not witnessing random chance. We are staring at a vessel, a messenger, perhaps even a seed. And here's where the story takes an even stranger turn. When Webb tracked Atlas's trajectory, it noticed something impossible. Atlas isn't just drifting, it's adjusting, slight, subtle course corrections. Tiny shifts no random rock should be making. It is moving toward Earth. But don't think of Hollywood-style UFOs swooping down from the sky. No, this is older, stranger. Imagine a life form that doesn't need ships or machines. One that travels frozen in comets, sleeping for millions of years, drifting until it finds a world like ours. Imagine a creature not bound by flesh, but by chemistry. Not bound by time, but by survival. What Webb has found inside Atlas may not be an alien in the sense we imagine. It could be life, but life so ancient, so alien, that our very definition of biology collapses in its presence. And yet, there's another possibility, one that chills the bones of even the most skeptical astronomers. What if Atlas isn't alive at all? What if it's carrying something? Because when Webb pushed its sensors deeper, it picked up something no one expected. Metallic resonance. Patterns suggesting structure, order, technology. The debate has already begun behind closed doors. Is Atlas a natural arc of microbial life, hitching a ride across the stars? Or is it a machine? An interstellar capsule disguised as a comet, carrying something placed there on purpose? And if that's true, then who or what sent it? This is not just about science anymore. This is about survival, because whatever is inside Atlas is not drifting past us like Oumuamua or Borisov. It's coming closer. Day by day, its course grows more precise, as though it knows exactly where it's going. What is Atlas? The question sounds simple, but the answers shake the very foundation of science. If James Webb's data is correct, if something is alive inside this interstellar visitor, then we must explore the possibilities. Some are wondrous, others are terrifying. The first theory is what scientists call panspermia, the idea that life spreads across the universe not by chance, but by design, hitching rides on comets, asteroids, and interstellar travelers like Atlas. Think about Earth. For decades, researchers have debated where our first spark of life came from. Was it born in Earth's primordial oceans, struck into existence by lightning and chemistry? Or was it delivered long ago, frozen inside a comet from another star system? If panspermia is true, then Atlas may not be visiting us for the first time. Perhaps life on Earth was seeded billions of years ago by something just like it. Maybe every tree, every bird, every heartbeat is the echo of a gift or an experiment from beyond. But if Atlas is carrying life, the question becomes, is it accidental or intentional? That brings us to the second theory, that Atlas is no mere comet but a vessel, a probe. Not a machine in the way we imagine, with gears and wires, but something more advanced, more disguised. Imagine an ancient civilization, millions of years older than us. To them, building a probe might not mean constructing metal ships. It might mean engineering biology itself. They could craft living probes, organisms designed to survive the void, to drift silently through galaxies until they find us. And maybe Atlas is exactly that. A hybrid of rock, ice, and life. A messenger cloaked as a comet, carrying knowledge, or something far more dangerous. Because what Webb detected inside Atlas isn't just random chemistry. It's organized, rhythmic, pulsing like a signal. Some scientists whisper that it resembles artificial modulation, like a code hidden inside organic matter. A heartbeat, yes, but maybe also a message. And then the darkest theory of all, what if Atlas is a weapon? History shows us that life competes, species fight for survival, civilizations expand. What if a civilization, desperate or curious, launched seeds of destruction disguised as comets? Not to bring life, but to erase it, replacing it with their own. Imagine a parasite of worlds, an organism that lands, thrives, and consumes until only it remains. If Atlas carries such a thing, then Earth's story may be nearing its final chapter. Of course, some dismiss these fears as paranoia. They argue Atlas is simply an extraordinary comet, its oddities exaggerated by distance and mystery. But the evidence is mounting, and the silence from official channels is deafening. Why? Because behind closed doors, governments already know the truth. Leaked whispers suggest Webb's data was immediately shared with agencies across the globe. Rumors say there are already plans, contingency missions, to intercept Atlas, to study it up close before it reaches us. But here's the problem. Atlas is fast. Faster than anything we've ever built. By the time we reach it, it may already be too late. And here's the detail that keeps astronomers awake at night. Atlas is not just passing by like Umwamba. It is adjusting its path, drawing closer to Earth's orbit. Not random, not chance, deliberate. So we are left with only three possibilities. First, Atlas is a natural arc of life, drifting blindly, carrying seeds that might explain our own beginnings. Second, Atlas is engineered, a probe disguised as stone, sent by a civilization so advanced we can barely comprehend their methods. Or third, Atlas is something far darker, a weapon, a parasite, a living shadow heading straight for us. And yet, there is one final twist, something that bends all three theories into one chilling idea. What if Atlas isn't coming to us for the first time? What if it has been here before? Throughout history, humanity has told stories of sky visitors, fiery messengers, gods descending in streaks of light, omens of doom and rebirth. Ancient tablets speak of stars that breathed fire and delivered the spark of men. Medieval chronicles describe comets that howled like beasts as they passed. Were they simply primitive fears, or ancient encounters with Atlas itself? If that's true, then we are not the first to face this mystery, and we may not be the first to be tested by it. What if the mystery of Atlas isn't new at all? What if humanity has already seen this visitor thousands of years ago? Because buried in ancient records, myths, legends, forgotten scriptures, are strange accounts that sound eerily familiar. Comets that glowed red like blood, stars that pulsed with rhythm, objects that came close, too close. In Mesopotamia, the cradle of civilization, scribes wrote of a star with a heartbeat that crossed the heavens and left seeds of fire upon the earth. Egypt tells of the star serpent, a fiery wanderer that slithered across the sky, vanishing into darkness after bringing knowledge and fear. And the Mayans? Their codices describe a breathing stone that returned at intervals, always as a sign of change. Were these simply stories of comets and eclipses? Or did they record what Webb is now rediscovering? Because when Webb turned its infrared gaze upon Atlas, the results were chilling. Those rhythmic pulses inside it, they matched no known natural cycle. Instead, the pattern resembled prime numbers, mathematics, the universal language, not random, not chance, communication. If true, then Atlas isn't just alive. It's intelligent, And here's where the story takes its most disturbing turn. Webb recorded fluctuations in Atlas's chemical output. At first, they were faint, but then they spiked. Sudden bursts of carbon-rich compounds ejected into space. They weren't random. Each burst was timed, controlled, like a transmission. But who or what was Atlas transmitting to? Some scientists propose it's broadcasting into the void, calling to something else. Another traveler, another probe. Others fear it might be sending signals to Earth itself, reaching across frequencies we haven't yet recognized. And then came the most terrifying detail. Webb picked up faint echoes, responses. Somewhere out there, something answered. The data is fragmentary, incomplete, but astronomers who've seen it privately admit the response came from a region beyond the heliopause, the edge of our solar system, from a place where no human craft has ever been. If that's true, then Atlas is not alone. It may be part of a network, a chain of living, drifting messengers passing through galaxies, speaking to one another across the darkness, and we have stumbled into their conversation. Of course, the public hasn't been told. Official statements describe Atlas as a typical interstellar comet. Nothing unusual, nothing dangerous. But behind the scenes, panic is rising. Webb's data is tightly classified now. Astronomers once free to share results are suddenly silent, but leaks always escape. One anonymous scientist claimed Atlas's pulses accelerated in recent weeks. Once every 37 seconds, then 36, then 35. Like a heart racing, like something awakening, and then there's its course. Webb's tracking revealed subtle but undeniable adjustments, like hands on a wheel steering a ship. Atlas isn't drifting, it's aiming at us. Some argue it's coincidence, that gravitational tugs from planets shifted its course, but others know better. If the pulses are intentional, if the prime numbers mean what we think they do, then Atlas isn't just moving, it's navigating toward Earth. And now, a terrifying thought. What if Atlas has been here before? The ancient records, the myths, the unexplained spikes in Earth's history, all pointing to cycles, visits, warnings. Maybe Atlas isn't a stranger at all. Maybe it is a returning traveler, and if so, what happened the last time it was here? Human history is filled with sudden rises and sudden collapses, great empires vanishing without warning, cultures erased in fire and flood. Could it be that each time Atlas visits, it leaves behind something? Knowledge, seeds, or endings? The whispers grow darker. Some researchers believe Atlas may be the hidden hand behind extinction events. Not a comet that simply collides, but something that awakens, spreads, and resets the board. If that's true, then what Webb has seen isn't just a discovery. It's a countdown. Because Atlas is no longer just a distant mystery, it's inbound. And soon, very soon, we will find out if it is a gift or a grave. The countdown is almost over. Atlas is no longer a distant blur at the edge of our solar system. It grows brighter, nearer, impossible to ignore. James Webb tracks every flicker, every pulse. But now, the world waits in hushed silence. Because soon we will no longer wonder what Atlas is. Soon we will face it. Governments call it a comet. They insist there's nothing to fear. But behind closed doors, rockets are armed, missions launched in secret. Humanity prepares for both contact and war. Because when confronted with the unknown, fear almost always chooses violence. But can Atlas even be destroyed? Its icy surface hides something vast, complex, perhaps designed. If it is alive, if it is intelligent, then striking it could unleash consequences we cannot imagine. What if our attack is the very signal it has been waiting for? And so the world faces a terrible choice. Do we wait, listen, and risk everything in the hope of understanding, or do we strike first, silencing the heartbeat in the dark? As leaders argue, something happens no one expected. Atlas begins to slow, its path no longer natural, not gravity, not physics, choice. It is stopping. And then the pulses change. No longer prime numbers, No longer alien signals. Instead, our own voices, snippets of human radio broadcasts. Faint fragments of music, laughter, even Morse code. Atlas is speaking back to us, using the very words and sounds we've spilled into the cosmos for decades. It has been listening all along, collecting our history, learning who we are, and now it returns our voice like a mirror. But why? Some believe it is a test, that civilizations are watched, guided, judged by travelers like Atlas, that our choice, violence or curiosity, silence or dialogue, will decide if we join the stars or vanish, forgotten, because maybe we are not the first. Perhaps others face the same heartbeat in the dark. Perhaps they chose wrong. Perhaps that is why we see ruins instead of neighbors. And now, it is our turn. Do we fire or do we listen? Do we destroy the unknown or embrace it? One thing is certain, Atlas is here. It is alive and it is waiting. When it finally speaks, when its true purpose is revealed, our world will never be the same again.